Hi everyone. Let me start with a story. A father and his son are in a car accident. The son is rushed to the hospital. At the emergency room, the surgeon looks at the boy and says, "I cannot operate him. He is my son." How is that possible? I'll let you think for a minute. Did you know right away that the surgeon is a mom? If you did not, that is okay. In fact, about 85% of the population does not find the answer to this riddle right away. The first time I heard this riddle, I myself have to admit, I did not know the answer, the most simple answer, right away. And that bugged me quite a lot. So why do we assume the surgeon is male? Why do we get that male assumption first and then get from there to the rest of the other explanation? Are we bad people? We are not bad people. We are all biased. We wear and carry glasses of our past experiences through which we see the world. We assume the surgeon is male because more than 80% of the surgeons in the US are men. So based on your past experiences with surgeons, most likely you have seen a male surgeon. And so in order to be able to do quick decision-making, quick assumptions, we take back those past experiences, those glasses, and we carry them throughout the world as we go. We are all biased. That is totally okay. In fact, being human means not being neutral. However, as product people, we have to recognize that we carry those glasses with us throughout the world in order to make sure that we can create the best product possible. I've spent the past 15 years helping customers solve their problem and leading teams globally in order to create great customers' experiences. At eBay, most recently, as Director of Product and Design, I have noticed throughout my career that there are 3 key biases that affect our decision-making as product people. In fact, one of the best examples of how we carry those glasses and how it affects our decision-making as product owners is, ironically enough, Google Glass. Google Glass is an amazing piece of technology. It's an incredible product that failed miserably. Why did it fail? Among many reasons, because the product owner of this product failed to recognize that they were carrying their own lenses in creating this experience. They created the product for themselves without understanding the lenses, the glasses that all of their customers carry, and that those are different than their own. So today we're going to talk about those 3 key biases I've observed in my experience, in my past experiences. And we're going to talk about affinity bias, we're going to talk about confirmation bias, and we're going to talk about survivorship bias and how we can overcome them. So I would like you to imagine this. You are looking to buy a dress online, and you're looking to buy this dress. How would you describe this dress in order to make sure that you get exactly what you want in the search engine? I'll let you think for a moment. I would probably say, this is a white dress, short-sleeved, with fringes. I would like to focus on the color for a moment. It turns out that the exact same dress can also be described as beige, champagne, sand, écru, biscuit, tan, neutral, and we are not even talking about the dress. Why does it matter? Well, it turns out that a friend of mine was selling this dress. And in describing the dress in the listing, she said, "This is a shortless écru dress." Now, if you had the same assumption as I did, if you had the same glasses than I did, you would have searched for this dress as white. My friend had her own set of glasses, her own set of lenses, and she described the dress as écru. With that in mind, she exposed her listing only to a subset of her target population. As product people, we have to recognize that our customers carry a various set of glasses that are different than ours. And so we have to take away those glasses in order to make sure that however the seller describes the dress, however the buyer searches for the dress, if it is the exact same thing, then we have to match them. And we can work on the product, on improving the search experience to make sure that that happens. And by doing that, we allow the seller to sell the dress, and we allow to create benefit for the company. Now, why do we assume people think the same way that we do? This is where affinity bias comes into play. Affinity bias is best known in the world of recruiting. We tend to hire people who are like us because they make us feel more comfortable. And we know that from various researches that have been done, hiring a diverse team help create better results for those teams. Now, affinity bias works a little bit like this. This is you. You know you. You like you most of the time. And around you are those you trust. This is your close core set of family, friends, colleagues, people you rely on a daily basis. Around those are those you like. And then finally, there is everyone else. Let me ask you this. In those circles, where is your customer? If we fail to recognize where our customers are, then we only see the world through our own glasses, and we are not carrying the same glasses as our customers. So in order to be able to address that bias, be more mindful of that bias, I'm going to ask you to wear others' glasses. And that means knowing your customers intimately. We all know we have to know who your customers are, for sure. We all know that. But what differentiates good to great is how we get to know our customers more intimately. So sure, customer visits are amazing. But my ask to you is to become your customers. Wear their shoes, wear their glasses. By becoming your customer, you will be exposed to experiences that you may not have realized. Now, let me be clear. You are not your customer. So this is just the start of the journey. And by the way, nor is your inner circle your customer. That means that while it's great to have conversations with your friends and colleagues and people you trust, it is just the start of the journey. It should not be the sole decision-making process. And so finally, my ask to you is to engage with many, many people, as many as possible. Because when you engage, especially in an uncomfortable situation, you start to see the world through other people's glasses. Now, once I've built a product, a product that you really like, you're like, oh yeah, that's amazing. I built that product. I want to know how it's doing out in this world. And this is where the second most important bias come into play. This is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias works a little bit like this. You have all the data about your product and how it performs in the world. And then you have your own set of beliefs. The problem with confirmation bias is that unconsciously, we are only looking at the interception of those two worlds. We are only looking at the data that is matching our expectation. And so, if you understand what I just said, being data-driven does not help. Because we could very well be data-driven or assume we are data-driven, look at the piece of information that will match exactly what we expect it to say. So in order to address confirmation bias, I'm going to ask you to wear your lenses, wear your glasses backwards. And in order to do that, we are data-driven. First, it starts with the very beginning. Define your key performance indicators way ahead of the product launch. I mean, hopefully that is a given. But do that by involving multiple stakeholders because you want as much input as possible about how your success metrics are being defined. And when you define your success metric, define the one that you're going to look at primarily, your level 1 key performance indicators. Define your control metrics. This is equally as important. What are the metrics you do not want to see moving? You do not want to see affected negatively by your product launch. The next step is to understand statistical relevancy. So this is important, and you can work with your analyst or whoever is defining the data at your company, but talk to them and understand statistical relevancy. Because if you start to see in your dashboard a 3 points bump in one of your key performance indicators, is that an amazing result for your product? Or is that just a happy circumstance? And then finally, and this is the most important, seek refutation, not confirmation. This is why I'm talking about wearing your glasses backwards. Do not look into the data at what will confirm that the product is amazing, but look into the data at what will refute that the product is great. So there is one great thing that the world of science brings us, and this is the concept of spikes in the data. As a scientist, scientists who run experiments are looking into their graphs, not for a calm, low effort graph. They are looking at the spikes. Because when the graph is flat, it's a boring result. It means that nothing exciting is happening in the experiment. But when there are spikes, it means that there is something we can go deeper. We can go try to understand what is happening. There is a reaction. And then we can scientifically go inside and research what exactly is happening. That could mean potentially a breakthrough discovery for our scientists. So my ask to you is to wear your scientist glasses as well. And when you look at your data, look at those spikes. What are they telling you? Why are they happening? This is what's going to help you uncover potentially things that you don't want to hear, but that are going to be critical in creating great products. So before we move to our third bias, when I usually present this talk in front of an in-person audience, I asked this question. I asked the audience to raise their hand if they are bought on eBay a piece of clothing ever. And usually I can see many hands going up, and I can see some hands not raising. So I ask the audience, please look around. Pat yourself on the back. Yeah, you've bought a piece of clothing on eBay. But don't focus on those who raised their hand. Focus on those who didn't. Why have those people not raised their hand? Why have they not bought a piece of clothing on eBay ever? There are likely many reasons. Maybe they never thought of it. Maybe they tried and didn't succeed. Who knows? But until we go talk to those people, until we have those conversations, potentially uncomfortable conversations, we will never know. And so this is where the third bias I've observed in products comes into play. This is survivorship bias. Now, survivorship bias is best known for a very extreme example during World War II. During World War II, engineers examined the bombers, the plane that were dropping bombs, that were coming back from the battlefield to where they started from. And looking at those planes, they realized that these planes had bullet holes pretty much everywhere, except in two places, the cockpit and the engine. And so the engineers looked into that and said, yes, there is a pattern, there are bullet holes everywhere, but not in the cockpit, not in the engine. Researched and said, okay, we have to reinforce the planes. We cannot allow bullet holes in the wings, in the tail. So we have to reinforce those places so that it is bulletproof. And so they did. They reinforced everywhere. But they did not touch the cockpit or the engine because those were bullet hole free. Now here is where the problem is. When a plane on the battlefield has been touched in the cockpit or in the engine, that plane crashed. It didn't make it back home. And so the engineers were only looking at what they could see, which were the survivor planes, not the one that still lay on the battlefield. So how does that relate to products? Well, this is a population of customers, but this is who your customers are. And this is everyone else who did not make it through using your product. If we do not focus on those other people, we are missing an opportunity. Missing an opportunity to understand how we can improve our product, missing an opportunity to expand the use of our product to those who currently potentially do not see its value. So if we go back to our example of the dress, our target population is not everyone who searches for a dress on eBay. Our target population is everyone who wants to buy a dress. By expanding our field of vision, we allow ourselves to bring in more insights into our decision making for our product. So in order to make sure that we understand that bias when we make decisions, I'm going to ask you to try to take your glasses off and look around on a regular basis. And that means use multiple data sources. This is very critical. Hopefully you do that already. But when you make decisions, do not only rely on quantitative information or solely on qualitative information. The best decisions are made when we overlap our qualitative and our quantitative insights so that we not only understand what the majority of people are experiences, but also what exactly are the experiences. This is about understanding the context in which the data is coming from. What was the customer's state of mind at that moment in time? Was it afternoon or evening? Was the customer in a noisy environment or sitting quietly on the couch? Was a child screaming? Who knows, right? It all depends on your product. But understanding the context of how the data has been gathered and what was the customer state of mind at that moment in time will help you go deeper and expand your horizon, your field of vision. And then finally, and this is the most important one, ask what if scenarios. So what if scenarios are extremely important to start to expand that field of vision. Because in the example of our dress, what if a customer, someone looking for the dress, like myself, is not English native speaker and does not find the right words to describe the dress they actually truly want? But what if they were to see that dress on someone passing down the street? What if they're like, wow, that's exactly the dress I want? They were able to pull up their phone and take a picture of that dress. What if, instead of describing the dress with words, they were able to use that image to do a search? What if? So in order to summarize, I would like you to remember this. Wear others' glasses. Engage in the discomfort of those conversations. Talk to many, many people who are not the same as you are. And wear your glasses backwards. Look for those spikes. Those are the most exciting ones. And finally, take the glasses off and look around. Ask what if on a regular basis to expand your horizon. So in order to do that, I have a trick that I use at my work. I usually have a pair of cheap sunglasses laying around constantly. And that reminds me on a daily basis to think about the glasses I wear when I make decisions. And so if there is one thing you can remember today, it's to at a minimum stop and self-reflect. Why am I making the decision I am making today? What are the glasses that I am wearing? And this is important because as product people, we are building the technology of the future. We are the editor of the world. And we are not creating those technology for ourselves or for people like us. We are creating them for everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Clémence Tiradon. It was a pleasure being with you today, and I would really appreciate it if you could share your thought with me using this QR code. Thank you.